Hello friends, today we are going to see UPSC Combined Defense Services Examination Preliminary 2020 question paper. UPSC apart from Civil Services Examination conducts a lot of examination like Combined Defense Services, National Defense Academy, or it also conducts exam for CAPF. So in most of the examination there is a paper called General Studies, and in the General Studies UPSC asks the questions from polity, economy, history and geography. So the trend which we observed in the past instances is that UPSC tend to repeat the trend. So UPSC tend to repeat the question whichever they asked in CDS examination and preliminary examination, or the questions they asked in CAPF examination in civil services preliminary examination. So either they repeat the questions or they repeat the trend or the areas from where they are asking. For instance, in 2016 UPSC followed the trend of asking a lot of questions from medieval India in CDS examination and in the CAPF examination. The same trend and the same areas continued even in the UPSC preliminary examination. Since UPSC is doing this, for civil services aspirant, it is better to check these CDS question papers and NDA question paper before going into the preliminary. So in this video series, we will be taking up this CDA question paper and discussing the questions subject wise. Today's area of focus is history. First question. On 31st December, we'll start with the modern India first. On 31st December 1929, which one of the following Congress sessions made the proclamation of Purna Swaraj? Purna Swaraj means complete independence. So, in the modern India, initially the freedom struggle started with the Dominion status. Later, the demand for the Dominion status was converted into complete independence in Purna Swaraj resolution of Lahore session. So, answer is Lahore. So, UPSC tend to ask the questions from these Congress sessions. So, whenever we are studying the Congress sessions, we have to study a few aspects. That is, first we have to study the year, then we have to study the city, and then we have to see the chairperson, and then the outcome of the session. So all the four aspects of each session we have to study. But there were a lot of sessions, right? Congress was started and there were more than 50 to 60 sessions before the independence. So we can't remember all the sessions. So what we can do is we can study only the important session. Like for example, in 1909 sessions, Congress condemned the separate electorate. In 1916 session, Congress accepted the separate electorate in the Lucknow. So likewise in 1907 there was a split between the extremists and moderates in the Congress, and in 1906 the term Swaraj was added for the first time in the Congress resolution. Likewise, we have to remember the year session and in which city it is taking place. So in 1929 the Congress chairperson was Jawaharlal Nehru, and the session took place in Lahore. So this session is significant because Congress for the first time proclaimed the complete independence or Purna Swaraj, and in 1930 January 26 they celebrated the first Independence Day. So and that's why we kept this as our Republic Day. We all know all this trivia. So the next question, which one of the following acts reserved the seat for women in legislature according to the allocation of seats to different communities? So if this question was asked with respect to independent India, then 73rd Constitution Amendment Act was the first one which reserved the seats for women in elections for the local panchayats. So we don't have reservation of seat for women for Lok Sabha or Legislative Assembly. In 73rd Constitutional Amendment Act, the reservation for seat for women was brought in for the first time. But here they are asking from modern India. In 1950, the answer for the question is 1935, but let us analyze all the options. Government of India Act 1858 converted or transferred the control of the administration of India to the Queen under the Victoria, that is Queen Victoria's proclamation. They created an office called Secretary of State. They abolished the dual government, that is Board of Directors and Court of Control, and they created an office of Secretary of State who was in charge for administration of India, and they created a council called Council of India. So this Council of India will be aiding the Secretary of State to manage the affairs of India. In 1909 they brought reservations for Muslims for the first time. In 1919 they extended this reservation for Indian Christians, Anglo-Indians, Europeans and Sikhs. So communal electorate was extended in 1919. In 1935 again they extended this communal electorate to depressed classes, that is the SC/ST, after the in the aftermath of Pune Pact, depressed classes, labourers and women. So one peculiar thing which you have to notice, we remember this depressed class, but we tend to forget this inclusion of labor and women. Even labor had the separate electorate in legislative assembly seats. So, and this was brought in by Government of India Act 1935. So this we have to remember, and that is the significance. So whenever you are studying this historic evolution, be specific with each and every act. So the next question, which among the following was demanded by All India Depressed Class Leaders Conference, Bombay in 1931? So you can easily guess this question because it was All India Depressed Class Leaders. So All India Depressed Class Leaders means generally we used to remember about the Baba Saheb Ambedkar. So Baba Saheb Ambedkar, in that time he was demanding for the separate electorate for the untouchables or the depressed classes. So based on the resolution and demand made in this Bombay conference only, Baba Saheb Ambedkar represented this wishes in the round table conference also. In round table conference also he expressed demanded for the separate electorate. So based on this only, Ramsay MacDonald, the British Prime Minister, announced the communal electorate, and he provided the separate electorate for the depressed classes, and hence that led to the fast unto death by Gandhiji. And due to this fast, Ambedkar came for a compromise, and he accepted and he signed the Pune Pact. In Pune Pact, it was accepted that communal electorate will be, a separate electorate given to depressed classes will be abolished, and reserved seats will be provided. Reserved seats with unified electorate will be implemented. So Pune Pact, and British government accepted the Pune Pact. So this was the background, and separate electorate for untouchable was the demand of All India Depressed Class Leaders Conference, which was convened under the chairmanship of Baba Saheb Ambedkar. Who among the following was one of the founders of Indian Society of Oriental Art? So this Indian Society of Oriental Art is a nationalistic version of art society. When the Swadeshi movement was going on, in 1905, a lot of Swadeshi colleges, Swadeshi schools and Swadeshi industries were coming, and the Swadeshi brand of painting and art was brought in by this Indian Society of Oriental Art, and it was inaugurated by Abhendranath Tagore. So Gajendranath Tagore, along with his brother Abhendranath Tagore, is known for founding of Indian Society of Oriental Art in 1907 as an effect of Swadeshi movement. In Swadeshi movement, we decided to boycott all the foreign things and to support all the Swadeshi things. So that is what Indian Society of Oriental Art was sponsored by Europeans and much popularized by as Tagore's Bengal School. So it is also called as Bengal School of Art or Tagore's Bengal School of Art. Shantiniketan School of Art is also part of this only. Abhendranath Tagore, Surendranath Ganguly and Nandalal Bose were one of the prominent artists of this school. Okay. This society also brought in a journal. So Indian Society of Oriental Art also ran a journal called Rupam. So Rupam is a journal which was run by Indian Society of Oriental Art, which we have to remember. Okay. So this is one of the famous painting done by Abhendranath Tagore's Indian Society of Oriental Art, which was painting of Bharat Mata. So this was the first painting which gave a image to Bharat Mata. So Bharat Mata was given an image, and that led to a lot of patriotism. So this Indian Society of Oriental Art also instilled the patriotism in the minds of people. Okay. So the next question, the work of C.R.ul Muktakhin, which describes the Battle of Plassey in 1757, was the work of which of the following writers? So it was work of Syed Ghulam Hussain. So Ghulam Hussain is the answer. So Syed Ghulam Hussain was a writer, Persian writer. Actually, this is a Persian book. This book dealt with the Battle of Plassey. So Battle of Plassey was a famous battle between East India Company, represented by Robert Clive, and Siraj-ud-Dawla from the Bengal, that is Bengal Presidency. So not Bengal Presidency, Bengal Princely State. So that is Siraj-ud-Dawla. So Siraj-ud-Dawla and East India Company fought, and East India Company won this Battle of Plassey. And a famous work describing the details of Battle of Plassey was taken from C.R.ul Muktakhin, which was written by Sheikh Ghulam Hussain. He was a person who was from Bengal, and he wrote this work in Persian. It not only described the Battle of Plassey, but also described the various intricate living aspects and day-to-day activities of the Bengal people. So the next question is about Tattva Bodhini Sabha. So the organization and founders is a model. So before going to the next question, I would like to add this. Likewise, giving the name of the work and who is the author. This model is also followed by UPSC most prominently. If you could see, there were many questions like Amukta Malyada was written by whom? That was a question which UPSC asked earlier. That is written by Krishnadevarayar. And then there was a question regarding Malavika Agnimitram was written by whom. So likewise UPSC is giving the name of the literary work and asking who is the author. So that is the most famous model followed by UPSC. So we'll go to the next question. Tattva Bodhini Sabha was established by which of the following person? So asking the organization and founder is another prominent model how UPSC asks question. So organization and founders. So if you could see UPSC question paper for the past 3 years from 2017, 18 and 19, there were a lot of questions from organization and founder model. So most of the questions were in the form of, were in the two form, either in the match the following, which of the following are correctly matched, or in the form of like this. They are giving the name of the organization and asking the founder, or they are giving the name of the founder and asking the organization. So in this model they are asking. So you can take the spectrum book, and in the last page of spectrum book they have given the list. You just memorize the list. So Tattva Bodhini Sabha was started by Devendranath Tagore in 1839. It was a parallel movement, parallel to Brahmo Samaj. We all know Brahmo Samaj was the famous movement of Rajaram Mohan Rai. After the death of Rajaram Mohan Rai, one of the followers of Rajaram Mohan Rai, who was Devendranath Tagore, he started this Tattva Bodhini Sabha. Tattva Bodhini Sabha also inspired the same ideals of Rajaram Mohan Rai, and it was going parallelly like Brahmo Samaj. Like Brahmo Samaj also was supporting widow remarriage, abolition of sati, women education, abolition of caste system, then reformism of Hinduism. Abolition of idol worship and all these things, and Tattva Bodhini Sabha also supported all these ideals, and Debendranath Tagore started this, and they also ran a newspaper called Tattva Bodhini Patrika. So Tattva Bodhini Patrika is a famous journal of Tattva Bodhini Sabha, and that was also edited by Debendranath Tagore. Later in 1860s, they merged the Tattva Bodhini Sabha along with the Brahmo Samaj again. They both the organization was merged again in 1860s. So that is one trivia you can add, and you just read all this organization and founder model. UPSC is in modern India, they are going behind this model. You just memorize all this organization and founder. See, you can't memorize it. Like for example, if you are memorizing it in January, you will be forgetting that in May. So what you can do is you study all these organizations and founder before the before a week of examination. Like from now itself, you make a list of things which you are going to revise before the week of examination. So you study all these things which are factual, which will be in the short-term memory in the before the week of the examination. So the next question is Seva Samiti. Seva Samiti, who founded the Seva Samiti in Hyderabad? So the Seva Samiti was founded by Hridayanath Kunzru. He was a famous person of Servants of Indian Society, which was started by Gokhale, and he started the Seva Samiti for the social work. Seva Samiti was another organization founded by the prominent member of Servants of Society, that is Hridayanath Kunzru. Again, organization and founder. So this model is most favorite model of UPSC. It was founded in 1914 at Allahabad. The Seva Samiti has its objective to organize social service during natural disasters, floods, epidemics, promotes and spread of education, cooperation, etc. So Servants of Indian Society, Seva Samiti and Seva Sadan. There is another organization called Seva Sadan also. So Seva Sadan. So these three organizations, it was started. This is a Parsi organization. So it was founded by Behramji Malbari. Behramji Malbari, a Parsi reformer, and he found this organization. So there are many social services organization like this in the modern India. Okay, so now we'll go to the next question. Hunter Commission, which was appointed by the British in 1882 to survey the state of education of India, on what is the recommendation. So education sector, if you could see in the spectrum book, the second part of the spectrum book deals with the various themes, that is education. Education is one theme in which they will be discussing. Then they will be discussing about the press, evolution of Indian press. Then they will be talking about the various peasant movements, labor movements. So then they will be starting movements in the state, various princely states. So likewise they will be taking theme based, and they will be evaluating the freedom struggle. So you study all these things because UPSC focuses the question here. So rather than direct freedom struggle, they focus here. So education, UPSC in 2017 and 18 was focusing a lot on education. If you could see question paper of 2017 and 18, they asked the question based on education. So one such commission appointed by British was Hunter Commission. This Hunter Commission gave recommended to give prominence for primary education. So it endorsed the Woods Dispatch, which came in 1854. It endorsed it, and it also emphasized on developing the primary and secondary education. So that was a major recommendation given by Hunter Commission. It emphasized on primary secondary education through vernacular language. See, vernacular language is another important thing. It supported that primary and secondary education should be given to masses in their own vernacular languages, that is regional languages. Vernacular means regional languages. Primary education should be given to the municipal control. So that is another recommendation which they suggested, and they recommended for bringing in the vocational education at the secondary level. So they asked to divide the secondary education into two, that is normal education and vocational education. They also gave this, and they also emphasized on developing female education outside the major cities. So that is another recommendation also. So Hunter Commission recommendation was phenomenal, and it was pro educating Indians. So you have to remember that. So study all these things a day, the week before the preliminary examination, so that you can remember it. So these set of questions were asked in the geoscientist examination of 2020. Which of the following pairs so here what they are giving is, they have given the name of the newspapers and the founders who found the newspaper. This is another model which UPSC asked in the correctly matched question. Here they are asking for not correctly matched. So Kesari was founded by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Yes, that is true. Kesari is a Marathi magazine started by Bal Gangadhar Tilak. Bombay Samachar is also true. It is a Gujarati. If you see Bombay, don't conclude that it is Marathi. Bombay Samachar was a Gujarati publication. It was started in Ahmedabad by Fardunji Marsban. He was a Gujarati person. He started this Gujarati journal called Bombay Samachar. Like Bombay will be confusing because you be careful here. Al Hilal is a Urdu newspaper. Urdu newspaper started by Abdul Kalam Azad. So all the three is right, and the wrong one is Bande Mataram. So Bande Mataram was not started by Bankim Chandra. Bankim Chandra wrote the actual Bande Mataram. Bande Mataram, the song was written by Bankim Chandra Chatterjee. That is true. But the Bande Mataram journal was started by Madam Kama. So Madam Kama, Bande Mataram was the Indian nationalist publication from Paris, which was started in 1909 by Paris Indian Society. There is an organization called Paris Indian Society in Paris, and it was run by Madam Bikaji Kama. So Madam Bikaji Kama was the one who started this along with the Talwar. So Talwar and Bande Mataram were two journals which were run in Europe, especially in the Paris, that aimed at inciting the nationalist unrest in India. So to bring in the nationalistic feeling in India, they started this. There were other journals also which were run in the foreign land, like Indian Socialist. Indian Socialist is one such thing. Indian Socialist was run by Shyamji Krishna Varma. Shyamji Krishna Varma. So this was run in London, and you also remember. Sorry, it is not Indian Socialist, Indian Sociologist. So then we had this Gadar. So Gadar was a journal which was run in United States of America by various Gadarites who settled there. So you just remember all these things. So the next question, again it was asked in the geoscientist examination 2020. Which one of the following was not the feature of Criminal Tribes Act? So Criminal Tribes Act, you would have known about this. They used to call an entire group of tribes as criminals, and they used to, and the British government used to discriminate them. They also call them habitual offenders. Like there is one Tinai called Palai Tinai in Tamil literature. So according to this Criminal Tribes Act, what British used to do, they used to designate a certain tribes as criminal tribes. The criminal tribes mean they always used to do the dacoities. That is, they are habitual offenders, and the people who are born in tribes are by birth they are criminals. So likewise, they used to designate the entire tribes of criminals based on their profession, and they also consider that they do the profession of dacoity. And they were imposed the movement restrictions. That is, they should not move from one city to another city. They should get permit. Daily they have to go to police station and they have to sign. Daily they have to go to police station and they have to sign their presence. So not daily, sometimes weekly. So that is the strict rules which they were brought under the Criminal Tribes Act. After the independence, this act was replaced by Denotified Tribes Act. So criminal tribes, the name criminal was removed and denotified tribes act was brought in. So these tribes are called as denotified tribes. So which of the following statement is not the features? So communities of craftsmen, traders and pastoralists were also classified as criminal tribes. So this is the wrong statement. So I'll come why that is wrong. At the end of the discussion, we will tell you why that is wrong. Tribes were declared criminal based on their profession. Yes, British considered that these people are professionally criminal. That is, they were born to do crimes and they used to do the criminal activities. So likewise, they used to do that. So this is the right thing. The notified criminal tribes were expected to live only in the notified villages. They cannot move out of their village. They have to live only within their village. Like if you could see in recent Dheeran movie of Karthi, they used to show about Bavaria gang. That is also considered to be one of the denotified tribe. The criminal tribe were not allowed to move out of without the permit. That is also true. So they just declared this tribes who are following this profession of dacoity. Only that kind of tribes was only declared as criminal, not the tribals who are doing the craft, not the people who are craftsmen, traders or pastoralists. So that's why the first statement is wrong here. So this is one peculiar question which UPSC is asked. So the next question: which of the following groups, movements or revolts occurred the earliest? That is, they are asking the chronological order here. So chronological, if you see according to the chronological order, the right answer should be B. So Coal Rebellion. So Coal Rebellion is a tribal movement which took place in 1820s. So 1829 to 1839. So this was a tribal movement. Both Coal and Santal both are tribal rebellions. British started to occupy this tribal territory and they took away the natural forest rights of the tribes and they started exploiting these tribes, and hence these tribal groups like Coals and Santals or Mundas, they revolted back against the British. So Santal rebellion took place in 1856 to 1860s. So this is the second thing. And third we had the Deccan Riots. So Deccan Riots is it's not a tribal rebellion, but it is a peasant rebellion. So landless agricultural peasants, they revolted against the Jagirdars. So this landless agricultural peasants, they revolted against the Jagirdars in the Deccan Riots. So it was the movement against the Jagirdar by the landless peasants because of the exploitation by high rents. So this riot took place between these peasants on one side and Jagirdars and moneylenders on other sides. So they also brought in a social boycott. All these peasants decided to boycott this exploitative Jagirdar. So that is another initiative which they took. So this is the chronological order based on earliest to latest. And Tebaga movement is a movement which took place in 1946. It was just before the independence. Tebaga movement took place in Bengal, 1946, just before the independence. And Kuka rebellion took place in 1870s. Actually, Deccan Riots also took place in 1879 only. Kuka revolt also took place in 1870s. It is a religious reform movement. It is not a peasant movement or a tribal movement. It is a religious reform movement by the Sikh community. There is a subgroup called Namdari group of Sikh community. This Namdari Sikhs, they wanted to do certain reforms within the Sikh religion. So hence they brought in this Kuka revolt. Here the Sikhs revolted against the British on one side and the Muslim community on other side. So that was the Kuka revolt which took place in 1870s. So right chronology is Coal. So you just focus on these peasant movements, tribal movements, like these aspects you should not leave. Generally people what they tend to do is they used to study this freedom struggle in detail. That is the mainstream freedom struggle done by the Congress, that they study only that, and they ignore all these tribal movements, peasant movements, labor movements or the religious reform movements. But UPSC tend to focus only these areas most of the time. So hence please focus this area. Okay. So the next question. Which one of the following statement is not correct regarding the Khilafat movement? So Khilafat movement, you know, it started after the Second World War. When Second World War ended in 1918, the Turkey was in the defeating side and British was in the victorious side. So British defeated the Turkey, occupied the Turkey and took away the caliphate. So like Christians have the Pope as the religious leader, Muslims considered this caliph as their religious leader, but what British did is what they abolished this post called caliphate and took away the power of the caliphate, and they didn't provide back the power. So what happened? This irked the Indian Muslims. So Indian Muslims were agitated against the British for that. They demanded British to give some respect to Caliph, and this Caliph also controlled the religious places like Mecca and Medina. So what the Muslims asked was that please give back the power to this Caliph to control this these two regions. So but British denied all these things, and hence that led to the anger of Indian Muslims, and they started this Khilafat movement under the leadership of Khilafat committee. A Khilafat committee was formed. This Khilafat committee was headed by these Ali brothers, Muhammad Ali and Shaukat Ali. So these two Ali brothers were leading this Khilafat committee, and under their chairmanship this movement was started, and later this movement was joined to the Congress freedom struggle movement. So Congress and Khilafat movement was joined under the non-cooperation movement. So in 1920 Calcutta session. So in 19 see again you have to remember this. See in 1920 Calcutta session, Congress accepted the Khilafat struggle as part of the non-cooperation movement. Okay, so this 1920 in 1920 there were two Congress meeting. One in September. In September Congress session only they accepted this Khilafat demand, and there was another session which took place in Nagpur. See, actually, the Congress session which take place in the December is called to be annual Congress session. That is, it was started in December 25th. So, the December Congress session only is considered to be annual Congress meeting. That only has a president and all. And this Calcutta session was special session. So, in history there used to be both this annual session and also a few instances, the few decisions would have been taken in the special sessions also. So, you have to be very clear whether it is an annual session or a special session. So, this decision was taken in the special session. In 1920 in Calcutta. So in 1920 annual session in Nagpur, what Congress did was Congress brought a new constitution for the Congress as a party. So they revamped the political party and they brought the state Congress committees. So that was 1920 Nagpur session. Now we'll come back to the question. It demanded that the Turkish Sultan must retain the control over Muslim sacred places, that is Mecca and Medina. So that is also true. So both the statements are true here. Khalifa must be left with sufficient territory to be enabled him to defend the Islamic faith. That is also true. This was also the demand. Congress did not support this wrong. Congress supported and they accepted it. So D is the wrong answer, and since they are asking not correct, D is the answer here. Okay. So the next question. Which of the following groups was known as no changes opposing the Congress party men's try into legislative council following the withdrawal of non-cooperation movement? Since Gandhiji withdrew this non-cooperation movement all of a sudden without any announcement, that created anger against Gandhi among the Congress, and the Congress was divided into two after this non-cooperation movement. One group of people, they wanted to join the legislative assembly, they wanted to take part in legislative assembly elections, and they were called as Swarajists. These Swarajists were C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru and S.C. Mitra. They started the Congress Khilafat Swarajya Party. So Congress Khilafat Swarajya Party was started under the leadership of C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru and S.C. Mitra. So they were called as Swarajists. But in the question they are asking about no changes. So a group of people were opposing this formation of Swaraj Party, and they opposed the joining of councils. What they said was, at this moment we should not join the councils. Again, if we join the council, we will go and we have to support British. So instead of joining council, what we have to do? We have to do the constructive work. We have to go to each and every village. We have to provide political awareness to the people in the village, and we have to build them for the national movement. So that is called as constructive work. This group of people, they were called as no changes, who supported the constructive works. So these people were Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Dr. M.A. Ansari. So these are all the no changes group: Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, Dr. Rajendra Prasad and Dr. M.A. Ansari, and C.R. Das, Motilal Nehru are called as Swarajist. So A is the answer here. So the similar situation also arose after this 1935 Act. When Congress brought this 1935 Act, then also there was a two group of people who were demanding two different things. So every time a large movement suppresses, such a split in the Congress occurs. So which of the following years did the Indian National Congress include in its goal independence of princely state? Generally, Congress had this policy of not involving itself in the freedom struggle of princely states. So it kept away the freedom struggle from the princely states. You know, British territories was divided as provinces, provinces and princely states. So Congress focused the freedom struggle only in the British provinces and not in the princely state. And only in the 1938 Tripuri session, Congress decided to get into the session, because until 1938 people in the princely state weren't that much politically aware and politically activated. By the time after this non-cooperation movement and civil disobedience movement, and when the Government of India Act came, these people in the princely state, they were politically aware, and hence in 1938 Tripuri session, Congress decided to carry out the political movement in the princely state also. But they didn't add this complete independence in the independence of the princely state in the manifesto. That took place only in 1939. In 1939 only, Gandhiji explicitly announced that they are going to bring in this goal of independence of princely state as the manifesto of the Congress, and hence 1939 D is the answer. So the freedom struggle which took place in princely state is also dealt in detail in the spectrum, so you have a look at it. And there is also this and in 1939 only, 9th All India State People's Conference, Jawaharlal Nehru was appointed as the chairman. So All India State People's Conference is a conference organized by the people who are wanting for this political reforms in the princely state that used to take place, and in 1939 version Jawaharlal Nehru was made the chairperson of this All India State People Conference once the Congress accepted this goal. Which of the following is not correctly matched? So again they have given an organization founded and the founder. This organization founder, but here they are focusing all the Muslim organization here. So here the Mohammedan Literary Society was started by Abdul Latif in 1863 in Kolkata. That is true. So this was majorly started for enhancing the literature. So literature and literary works of the Muslim community. So that is true. National Mohammedan Association was started by Syed Amir Ali. So National Mohammedan Association was a political organization founded by Syed Amir Ali in Calcutta. Amir Ali was the first Muslim leader to visualize the need. So he was the first one who visualized the need that a Muslim organization should be formed to bargain with the British. So that is the aim of National Mohammedan Association. And next, Mohammedan Educational Conference was organized by Syed Ahmad Khan. Syed Ahmad Khan is another intellectual from the Islamic religious reform movement, and he was the founder of this Aligarh movement also. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan conducted this Mohammedan Educational Conference where he spoke about starting a college in Aligarh for the Muslim community to educate them. So in that part of the time this entire community was not that educated compared to the mainstream community, and hence Sir Syed Ahmad Khan conducted this conference to impart education among the Muslims. Same Sir Syed Ahmad Khan only conducted this Anglo-Mohammedan. He only founded this Anglo-Mohammedan Defence Association. This Anglo-Mohammedan Defence Association was an organization started by him mainly as an organization for Muslims to bargain with the British for the welfare of the Muslims. So that was the idea. Sir Syed Ahmad Khan was initially, he was a reformist. He wanted to reform the Islam religion, but in later part of the time he also turned into a revivalist. So that is one turn. So D is the answer. So D is wrongly matched here. So this was also started by the same person here, okay, not by Nawab Mohsin-ul Mulk. So we have come to an end of the modern India questions. So thank you guys. In this video we saw the questions from modern India. So in next video we will be discussing the questions asked in the CDS examination from ancient India and medieval India. In medieval India there were many interesting questions, and I know you guys are very reluctant to study medieval India. At least you revise these the areas which were asked in this question in medieval India. I hope it will be helpful for you. Thank you.